This is the first part of a 2-episode conversation with my guest, Carleton Chinese music professor and ensemble director Gao Hong. She is a Chinese performer and composer who is a master of the pear-shaped lute called the pipa. She began her career as a professional musician at age 12 and later graduated from the Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing. In both China and the U.S., Gao has received numerous top awards and honors. In 2005, Gao Hong became the first traditional musician to be awarded the prestigious Bush Artist Fellowship and recently received World Music Gold Medals for her work on her latest albums. As a 2018 Sally Award winner, Gao Hong was honored at the Ordway Center for her commitment to the arts. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get started and talk to Gao Hong. Hello, Gao. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Chinese New Year, and happy Valentine's Day, because we are recording this on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So, awesome. Well, welcome to Musician Talk. It's just a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So I would like to start the interview out talking about COVID and how that has affected your life. And so I'm just quickly kind of tell us how it's affected you as a teacher and as a musician.
Since the spring term of 2020, I haven't seen my student at all. So we all through Zoom. I literally live in the Zoom.
Oh, you live in the Zoom. Oh,
we cannot rehearse through Zoom at all. So what I have to do is to meet the ensemble people individually. Everybody will meet me one-on-one. Wow. And I will go through the score and sing with them, pretend we rehearse. And also in the end, we have to a recording. Then we all recording together. We put it in a YouTube like we're big ensemble. And wow. I have to conducting a video so the students can see me when they record. It's right. Just the worst thing you ever think about for ensemble. Yeah. So you spend a much like a 3-4 times more time. In the past, you only like a 1.5 hour for one session. Now it's individually one-on-one for many hours. So it's really a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. By the end of the term, you see everybody put together. Oh, it's beautiful. As a teacher, I've been doing so many online lecture. I'm giving a remotely lecture this morning at 10:30 in Germany. And that's the one thing about positive for the pandemic is I can appear 3 concerts in 3 different places, 2 countries, 3 cities. Right. So this morning, 10:30, I was giving a lecture and the concert for Germany. Then also from 12 to 5, I'm also in Mall of America for the celebration for Chinese New Year in Mall of America. So wow. I'm literally have a literally lecture everywhere from China to Germany to Taiwan and everywhere. But my concert has canceled from Our World to Yours, the CD release concert on April 25th, supposed to be in the Central Cultural Center or gone. So there
didn't happen.
It didn't happen. I canceled the entire tour in China. I canceled the residency in Nashville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee University, and Central Conservatory, China Conservatory, Tianjin Conservatory, Sichuan Conservatory, all just everything. I canceled over, I don't know how many, I can't even count anymore, probably over 100 events.
Wow, all over the world. Yes. All over the world, you had to cancel those. Yes. Oh, how disappointing. So are you going to have a CD release party for this once things open up for this new album?
I hope so. I had the 2 CD releases in 2020. I didn't have any release concert.
No release party for it. Oh, how disappointing. Wow. Well, just hopefully that you can have them in 2021. Everybody will understand that it's a year later, doesn't matter. So thank you for that. And I'm glad that there's been some silver linings in that you can travel all over the world without leaving your house. We
Oh,
did.
by the way, I did had a two in-person concert. One is in New York Mill in up north.
Uh-huh.
Then they only limited 25 people in the
Right.
gallery. And I recently, last 2 weeks ago, went to the Rochester, the theater for the Rochester City Hall concert series. But
Okay.
we didn't have a live audience, but we played it live. They have a video.
So you got out of your house at least.
Yeah, I got it 4 times probably. I can count.
Wow, what a world.
Everything else is online. It's literally, I live online. I'm not even kidding. Every day, ding dong. When I hear the ding dong, I know this is Zoom.
Well, thank you for being on Zoom with me today. I appreciate it so much. I'd like to dig into your musical life and how old you were when you started playing the pipa. But before we get there, I want to tell the people about the pipa, what it is. This was a new instrument for me when I asked you to be on the show. I started looking into it. And so could you tell us a little bit about that instrument?
So it's really, really kind of between banjo, guitar, mandolin sounds.
Yeah.
So many people say one of them. I say, no, we're kind of like a mix. It's about 2,000 years old in Chinese history. It's very popular in China. It's almost like a guitar in Western world.
Sure.
So, and you can play for opera company, you can play for choir music, you can play folk music, you can play classical music. Since I came to America 27 years ago, now I play blues, I play jazz, I play with klezmer music, Irish music, and improvisation, Japanese, Syrian, India, whatever.
Everything.
So yeah, it's only 4 strings, and we hold the pipa upright. Toning is ADEA. We'll have 5 artificial nails to protect the fingers because the string right now in the old time made of silk or guts. Now it's kind of borrowed from the guitar-like strings. It's kind of metal. So I have artificial plastic nails on my 5 fingers.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. And now that we know what you play, when did you start playing it? How old were you? And you grew up in China?
Yes. So my mom was a music teacher, and I grew up during the Cultural Revolution. My mom was worried about if I have to go to the countryside. So, and she forced me play. My first instrument was accordion.
Oh, accordion.
Yeah, because that's during that time Russia is our big brother, you know. Then my mom thought I was too skinny. So I changed to a Chinese lute called yueqin, like Hmong guitar. Then two strings, only like that time, only 2 strings. Then only a few months I was on the radio station and my mom said, okay, let's find some more difficult. So then I went to a Chinese mandolin, it's 3 strings. Then I went to a Chinese violin, the erhu, 2 strings. And I went to a Chinese zither. So finally, my mom said, if you want to be a professional musician, let's have one, the most difficult one, so you don't have a big competition. So that's the time.
Smart woman.
That's the time when I was 8. I started the pipa. My mom would force me like 8-hour day to practice.
Wow.
She would lock from outside, so I have to practice. I couldn't go out. So after 4 years, at the age of 12, I became a professional musician. I was auditioned to a professional dance and singing troupe. Since then, I've been travel all over the world.
Wow.
So maybe you probably know how old I am now, because 2022, the Ordway will host 50 years for playing the pipa concert celebrate.
Wow. So you had your schoolwork on top of practicing 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I was only in 3rd grade. Because my mom was a music teacher, so we live inside the school. In the morning, I would get up very early for 2 hours before go to school. At that time, we all go home. We went home eat. And so after eating lunch, I will practice 2 hours. In the afternoon, you go to school. After school, you practice other 2 hours. And after dinner, you practice other 2 hours.
Wow. That is discipline.
I
That is
know.
discipline. And that's how you get to be a pro by the time you're 12. Although you have to have the talent too. I mean, if you don't have
Oh,
the talent, it doesn't matter how much you practice, but it's obviously something, it seemed to me, that fit. The stringed instruments were a fit for you.
yeah, I think so. But it's really challenging, really, really challenging. If you see my play, the way how you do it, it's really, really difficult. But at least I didn't give up.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I have so many questions about all that, but I want to continue on your musical journey. Then you started playing professionally at 12 for this dancing and singing group. And then what? What did you do after that?
Then after 4 years and 3 years, and I got into a Hebei Art School. It's a pre-college, and it's just learn the pipa and the other like a music theory, just like a pre-college of a conservatory. I was there for 6 years. After study that, I became a pipa teacher there for
Okay.
1 year, and I was auditioned to a Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing. It's the kind of like a Juilliard in America.
Like the Juilliard. Yep.
Yeah, it's the most famous Chinese conservatory of music,
Got it.
and also it's very difficult to get it because the year when I get in was entire China only two pipa player was
Out of
accepted.
all of China, two pipa players got into
Yeah,
this college, out of this
yes.
to this conservatory.
I was very lucky, was picked by the most famous pipa master in the world.
I mean, I guess luck puts you in the right place at the right time. But other than that, you had to do it by your hard work and
Work
diligence.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hard work.
yeah.
So you went to the conservatory for how many years?
For 4 years.
Okay.
After 4 years, I was received for the first chair soloist for the Beijing dance singing troupe as a professional musician. After 2 years, less than 2 years, I went to Tokyo, Japan, to perform by a Japanese music company. Then
Okay.
I also studied comparison from between the Chinese pipa and the Japanese biwa. So
Ah,
about a year, I came to America in 1994 for tour 10 cities. Here's a interesting story. That was 1994. I was touring solo concert in Denver Museum. Then the people announced in the radio, said, please come to see the woman play the pipa tonight. After 5 minutes, somebody called the museum. How could this Chinese woman play the pipa? They thought I was playing the
oh
vegetable.
no. They were wondering how you could play the peapod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's a funny story,
That
but
is.
because that story changed my life. I didn't go back to Japan to finish my study, so I decided to stay America to promote the Chinese music. That's how it changed my life because I thought, wow, the Chinese people is 2,000 years. It's so beautiful. No one even knew it. They thought it was
Right.
a vegetable. So that's the reason actually kept me in America and I continue as educator. I wanted to everybody to know. That's how I
Yes.
started my career in 1994 because of that interesting story.
Wow, that's great. I'm sure that I've heard it before and I've seen it before, but I don't know that I ever knew that it was called pipa. And so
Sure,
it's good
sure.
to know. And then also to get introduced to it by one of the best players in the world is pretty cool. So you started touring and educating in the U.S. And then you started teaching at Carleton in 2001.
Yes, I'm fortunate I came to Carleton and first I started with a private owning like a one-on-one private license for the like a one-on-one license we call private license, just individual license. And then the students getting so good, then we started silk and the bamboo ensemble first, only like a chamber group, only like 8 or 10 people. Then we wrote more and more people interested. And then I'm very fortunate to thank a big thanks to the Carleton College, the dean's
Mm.
office, the music department, and the Asia study department. they finally decided that, hey, let's buy all the instrument.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm a full-time teacher at Carleton College to directing the Chinese music ensemble. And also we have a chamber group called the Global Music Ensemble. I couldn't speak a word of English when I first came to this country.
Wow.
So today, if you don't understand I speak Chinglish. So if you have a trouble, if you have trouble, please do stop me and ask me again. So I will repeat slowly.
I will ask. I so far haven't had any trouble. Your English is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Nicely done. So you also still tour and also are lecturing around the world.
Yes, during the spring break, I usually do American lectures like Tennessee or the Middlebury, that kind of thing. But during the summer, most of the time I will be in China because I'm a guest professor for 4 conservatory
Wow.
in China. Then in the winter, I usually do some tour for America. So I literally probably never rest.
I was just going to say you are one busy woman. That is impressive. Well, I want to move on to this first song that we're going to play that you chose for us to play today, and it's called "From Our World to Yours." Will you tell us a little bit about this song?
Yeah. This From Our World to Yours is totally 100% improvisation between me, the Chinese pipa, and the Syrian oud player, Isam Rafia. And we met at Carlton, and he was our residency guest artist. And he taught my global music ensemble for Arabic music. Before he left, I said, hey, let's have fun. Let's go to a studio just to see what we do. That's our first time ever. We just went into a studio. Then we recorded the whole afternoon. Our first CD came up. We even didn't talk. We didn't talk which key, what kind of a mood or nothing. So this is From Our World to yours. We recorded live at the Quackham Carlton New Concert Hall, and we recorded by the Matthew Zimmerman. From Our World to Yours was released by the ARC Music in UK, one of the number 2, the best world music label. Then we also won the 2020 Global Music Award, the best album and the best instrumentals. So it's really, really from our heart. So our first CD called Life as Is, which is describe how we came from China during the Cultural Revolution, and Isam came from Syria, how he went to the Civil War, then how we meet and how we live as is. Now the second one, From Our World to Yours, we want to express, because our music is improvisation, we never can repeat unless you record it. So we never ever can repeat it. So we recorded this one from our heart because we don't talk before. We don't talk with key, we just listen. So from our heart to listen to each other. So we wanted to from our world to yours. So it's very, very unusual for 2 different cultural and totally different instrument from different country can be so harmony, so fit in together.
Yes.
And people couldn't believe. If you ever come to our live concert, you will be absolutely surprised, because we'll give the audience, hey, what do you want us to play? So we performed at the St. Olaf. People give us like a 4 or 5 piece, which is made up on the stage. People just loved it because they can feel it. So if you ever have the chance to come to our live concert, you'll be so happy, because everything is a world premiere, because it would never can be repeated.
Wow. So when you do improv, you're completely in the moment. knowing that you're not going to repeat this ever again and it has never happened before. So it's absolutely in the moment and the audience is getting that. And that's what this recording is. One of those sessions that you had with your friend Isam Rafia, and he's from Syria and he plays the oud. That's a stringed instrument as well.
Yeah, actually it's older than the pipa. The pipa and
Wow.
came from the oud. Is the oud about 5,000 years. Is we all came from the same region, same family. So the oud went to the west, become a lute and guitar. Then
Okay.
the oud went to east, become a sitar and the pipa. So basically, it's all same family.
Oh, that's
But
really
it's a much
interesting.
lower tone. So
Okay. You have set it up perfectly. So let's take a listen to From Our World to Yours. This is Pauline Jennings, and you're listening to Musician Talk, hosted by me. You just heard from Our World to Yours, performed by my guest, Gao Hong, on the pipa. So I could listen to this song all day long. It is absolutely beautiful. It's relaxing, and it's unusual and interesting to my Western ears. Wonderful. And this is, as you said, an award-winning piece that you got the 2020 gold medal for this one, correct?
Yes.
And not only that, you have so many awards and fellowships that you have received over the years. And I just want to touch on some of those. There was the Bush Artist Fellowship in 2005. Tell us about getting that.
In the past, they're only for composers. They never had it for players.
Okay.
So that's the 2005 was the first time I was the only traditional artist who got that, because you know, Bush Foundation is so prestigious. So I was very, very honored to that, because I heard one of the panel the year before saw me just trying to submit it as a composer, but I'm not a professional composer. I'm saying not a professional trained composer. You know, I am a composer, but I'm not like a go to a conservatory as that. So then the judge was so impressed by what I played, and by their suggestions, the next year I was lucky they offered for traditional musicians. So I was the first one to get it, to go back to China to study with my teacher, Lin Shicheng, who is the Pudong style of Pudong school of pipa, which means almost, it's not many people play that way. And he was 70 years old, 80. He toured with me. He's my dear teacher. But that time he was in China and Hong Kong. So I went back, used the fellowship to study a piece last over 100 years. It's called The Mother-in-law Argue Daughter-in-law. It's one of the pieces nobody can play anymore. So I used the fund to went back to many times to China and study that. And I also did a field works, go to a Chinese minorities. We have 56 ethnic groups.
56 ethnic groups in China.
Yeah, so that's my fellowship I did.
Well, congratulations. That is very, very impressive. And not only that, you've received, I don't think anybody has ever done this. You received 5 McKnight Artist Fellowships. Wow. I just want one.
Thank you. I was very lucky. I was the first one get it the first year. Then after that, then they had a limitation. You only every 4 years you only can apply. Then after I got a second one, they said there is no more. You only can have 2. And then they decided to every 6 years. So I waited for other 6 years, got my third one, and then they changed to 7 years. So I waited for other 7 years, got my first one. And then they said, if you wanted to apply, you have to say if this thing will help you to get to the next stage. So I did my first one. I went to a Carnegie Hall, had my 35 years playing the pipa. Then
at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah,
wow, how exciting.
Yeah, then 2 years ago, I think 2019, I got my the 5th one. That one is to preserve the Pudong school.
Wow, that's incredible. Then there's one I wanted to ask you about too. It's called the and you got it in 2018. It's called the Sally Award. What's that?
Oh, that's for the lifetime of commitment.
Okay.
And yeah, it's nominated by someone in the community. Okay. And then after that, they will review and send. So I think I was the first Chinese musician to get get the Sally Award. It's just for my 25 years in Minnesota I done so much of a performance, especially for education part. Yes. I published the first pipa methods book through Hollander to publish in first Chinese instruments in English language and publish the all over the world. So that's the thing I'm trying to do. So now Carlton is so open-minded. It's unbelievable. So now if any Chinese musician want to come to Carlton, they can do a double major or music major. Then you can study on Chinese instrument.
Wow.
Now I had a student, a Caucasian who is from Moorhead, and he started with me when he was in middle school. He's a Gus Holly. Only he learned Chinese zhongruan, the pipa. He was the first non-Chinese ever won the competition competing in China with 1,300 of Chinese pipa player won the gold medal.
Wow. And that was your student?
Yes.
Wow, that's impressive.
He's superstar. He's superstar. Right now he's in China. Everybody know him. He's like a viral every time.
A viral superstar pipa player from Moorhead, Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Right now he's in Berkeley. You
who would ever guess?
For PhD. Yeah, who guessed in Northfield?
Exactly. That is beautiful. What a great story. This is a terrific spot to end this first part of Gao's interview. The second half will be next week. Thank you so much to Gao for this incredibly fascinating look into her musical life. It is an honor to have had the chance to talk with her. And so many thanks to you for listening to Musician Talk on KYMN. And make sure to tune in next week for the rest of my conversation with Gao. Have a terrific day.